All right, good afternoon. It is Wednesday, July 23rd at 3:02 p.m. This meeting of the 911 Services Enterprise Board is called to order. First up on our agenda is any discussion and potentially motion and approval on our July 16th minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look over these minutes? And are there any points of discussion, modification? Questions about them?
I'll move to approve them.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Amy. Any further discussion? All right, try a little something different. Is there anybody opposed? All right, then I will accept these minutes as approved for July 16th. Next up is public comments. Public comments are limited to up to 15 minutes total. Each member of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on any topic relevant to the purposes of the enterprise. If any member of the public would like to speak, please indicate so now by raising your hand in Zoom to be called upon. After we address any raised hands in Zoom, we will then call for any additional comments from members of the public who have dialed in or are otherwise unable to raise their hands in Zoom. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak? Seeing no hands, is there anybody who is unable to raise their hand and would like to unmute and state their name? Hearing none, public comment is closed. All right. Next order of business, a financial secretary appointment. So now that we have our official bylaws, thank you all again, we have a position of financial secretary that we can appoint from within our ranks. I know we've had some discussions about this in the past before it was an official position, but I do not want to presume. Is there anybody who would like to nominate either themselves or somebody else for the position of financial secretary?
Michael, can you, when it says financial secretary, is it financial and secretarial stuff, or just financial work is tied to the secretarial work is tied to the financial piece of it? Just can you or anybody tell me what the kind of scope was? Because I'm happy to self-nominate and continue to do some of this financial work, but I just want to understand what I'm getting myself into potentially.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think a lot of it is things that you've been doing for the past few weeks or months. So it is really around the financial part, being that liaison with the state to understand, what we need as far as putting the budget to the being the final face of putting the budget together, getting the memo prepared, being that interface, particularly with Dora, to make sure we're doing things right procedurally. Looking at the bylaws, you're looking at working with state finance, presenting reports of the state at meetings if there's something that we need to bring back from the state to understand, being the head of the budget development committee, the chair. So really being that point person, not working alone, but being the point person on things financial.
Okay, thank you. And I guess with that, I mean, I would be happy to self-nominate for that position.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Second.
And thank you, Andrew. And I'll just say, I think so far from what we've seen, you're doing a fabulous job, and I wholeheartedly encourage and thank you for that. The only concern I have, you've mentioned in the past that you would want to abstain on the actual voting around the fee, and I appreciate and understand that. I just want to make sure that you're comfortable being in that position to help create the reports and be that point person while abstaining from the vote. So
Yeah, I personally don't see a problem with that. I mean, in terms of, the aspects of it that I really would be doing is just the results of what all of the board agrees and wants. So again, I think it's just that weird little nuance being on the provider side that we also weigh in sometimes on the on fee proceedings and things like that. So I just,
Sure.
as long as I can kind of stay away from the the final vote, I'm good.
All right, sounds good. Then we have a nomination from Lynn with a second from Andrew. Are there any other members of the board who would like to put their name into the hat for the financial secretary position? Any further discussion around Lynn's nomination? All right. I think unopposed, we can probably just move forward, but just for the sake of um, absolute certainty, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, Lynn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
You bet.
Next order is the Budget Development Committee. And before we do that, Kirsten, were you able to get a little more detail as far as what options we have? So Lynn, as the financial secretary, will chair the Budget Development Committee, but what options, abilities, limitations do we have as far as naming a committee and meeting as that committee, not as the board, um, in respect and in compliance with the sunshine laws, the open meeting laws? What does that look like?
Yes. Um, I have been talking to some people about that. It might be helpful if you want to set up a time to discuss this with me and some other attorneys. Um, it's we've done it with other agencies, but most of them are under Pair 2 instead of Cora. So there are slightly different um requirements for them as far as open meetings laws go. But yes, I am working on this and we're trying to figure out some options.
Okay, so with that, I guess, would it behoove us to table this discussion and maybe you and Lynn can set up some times to meet and discuss and
Sure.
work out, and then we'll bring it back to a future meeting as far as what that looks like and the actual composure of that committee.
That sounds good to me.
All right, anybody, any board members have any concerns or issues with that direction? All right, and that item will be tabled for a future. I don't know that, I guess, question to you would be, would that be something we should put on the agenda for our next meeting? Or do we want to wait until you guys feel like you have a firm grasp and we'll add it to agenda when the time is right and when you feel comfortable bringing it back?
Lynn, do you have time to meet within the next week?
I do. I do. Do you want
Okay.
me to send I'll send you some available times and then.
Sure, that'd be great.
From that.
So,
Okay.
given that, I would say we could probably keep it on the agenda for the next one. I think we're narrowing in on the issues here.
Okay, awesome. So Sage will put the Budget Development Committee, carry that to the next agenda.
I'll make sure to put that on the agenda.
Thank you. All right, 2026, excuse me, budget discussion and rate setting. And again, Lynn, fabulous job. This was forwarded through Sage. Matt, you probably did not see this since your email is locked up. But Lynn, would you like to kind of walk us through what we have here and any changes since our last meeting?
Sure. I think I guess I just have a couple of questions on this budget that occurred to me as I was making a draft memo. Um, really the only difference here today is just cleaning it up. So I cleaned it up and I hit the column that said 10 months. And had the kind of the reduction in costs and things like that. And I labeled it 9 months. So maybe we decide 9 months, 9 months or 10 months. What I wanted to talk a little bit about in this, well, I'm going to say one main thing, and I just want to make sure we had talked last week about what was underneath each of the programs and kind of in the Resource Center Board amount was known, but then taking the remainder of the money and it was kind of evenly split across the other 3 categories. When I was going back through all of my notes, it occurred to me that at some point we talked about cybersecurity and priorities and needs around cybersecurity. And I just wanted to make sure that I haven't left off a critical area that people were wanting to include. And it may have been just in real preliminary conversations, and then we weed it down into these 4 areas. But I just wanted to double back and make sure that there wasn't anything on the cybersecurity side, or if it was, it might have, gone into more of the local authority grants kind of category as well. So I don't know if others recall.
That is how I recall it, that it was one of the things we talked about early on, but kind of wasn't, I don't want to say it was disregarded, but it was not as high as these other things that led to our final priorities. And does anybody else have a different recollection than that? Silence is acceptance.
Okay. And then next, I think what occurred to me as I was writing that other memo was trying to understand, given the timing of when we would start collecting the revenues. Can you go back to the spreadsheet just one sec?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The timing of collecting revenues, I put in here projected 2026 revenue at 3 cents per service user per month. And I did that, and I'll talk about it on the memo side, because at least my read of the laws now say that we are to set the budget and the fee. And we simply tell the commission, this is our budget, this is our fee, so they can incorporate it into their calculation of the state 911 surcharge. But we can discuss that part of it later. That's why that line item number 8 is on there. But I said 2,400,000, and of course that balances out what we put in for programs and expenses, including the reserve. But then I was like, but are we going to, if we were to really collect 2.4 million, since the money doesn't start coming in until the March timeframe, I'm really only collecting 10 months in 2026. And the companies will be charged starting in January, but you don't see collections till starting in March. Does that mean I really represent 10 months of collections or 12 months of collections? And if I only represent 10 months of collections, does it change either the fee, the 3 cents, and drive it upwards to cover for those first 2 months? Or do we reduce in some of these program categories or across the board in order to balance just 10 months of revenues?
An excellent point. Matt, go ahead.
My feeling is that we take in the final version that we adopt, we take out the designation of 12 months, 9 months, and we just simply put in dollar amounts in column B for what we project that it will actually be. And I would submit that those should be based on 9 months at 3 cents. My second comment would be that it seems that the board could potentially provide funding for cybersecurity under local authority grants as a category.
Okay,
That we're not saying no to cybersecurity. We know that PUC staff pointedly made that as an item we should consider, and I agree with that on some level. And so we have flexibility, I think, within our budget account names. We haven't really developed a budget glossary yet for them, but we could still address cybersecurity, especially if someone asked for it.
okay.
So that's
Okay.
my 7 cents, not just 2.
Yeah, so 7 cents, that's perfect, but the question I would then have is if, oh, and that's probably helpful there too, is if we just do 9 months of revenue, then I have more costs in the year than I have revenue coming in.
And I think I agree with Matt. I think we focus more on this year's being a 9 month, not a 12 month, and remove that reference. But with I would say we have a little latitude and a little hopefully forgiveness because this is the first year, because we don't know what we don't know. But yes, I would say chances are good we should probably reduce these
Yep.
to what we think is the realistic, which is more in the 1.8 range. And next year's
Okay.
we would plan the full 12 month. I think it makes more sense to me at least.
So use column C. Remove the header,
Yep.
the header that says 9 or 12 months. Use the data from column C.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
okay.
With the exception being the resource center is going to be 200,000 regardless. It was the ask. So assuming we move forward with that,
I can reduce the reserve if
exactly.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is not my copy. I'm going to go open my copy. And if you don't mind, if I share my copy, Michael, and
Let
I'll
me
just
stop.
make
There you
that
go.
change. Okay. Okay, so share. Okay, here we go. Okay, just move this over to the left. If it'll let me. Because nobody really wants to see my calendar. Okay, I'm going to start over. This is a screen issue I've been having the last couple of days. So let me do this. I need to stop sharing a second and redo this. And just go to the big screen. Is that sharing? Can you all see that?
Yep. You can see the Excel.
Okay. Here we go. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm looking away from you all.
No worries.
Yeah. And I will make sure that I clean this. And then we come down here under program reserve. So we're short 50,000, right? So, and it figures that is a what do you call it? An equation here. So it's just divided by 9. Oh. E3 divided by 2.
Nothing like public
Page
math
two.
Yeah, you know what?
with an audience.
I only do no, let me just do this. I'm just gonna
I think just a
clear the
130, I think was the,
yeah. So I'll just put in a hard number here.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay.
and then
So
200 for the resource.
yeah,
Mhm.
good point. We're doing it. Well, let's see if it lets me do it. And I will get the equations back in here when I have time to clean it.
No worries.
You're good.
Okay. Are we good now?
Is C25 then a sum formula?
It is, but it's summing off of the B column, not off of, or it's summing off of B, not off of the column.
Oh, up instead of
So
C.
that should be a sum of C5 through C24.
Why does it say B6? Oh, now it's really messing it up. No, it's not gonna go back.
I hit escape at this point just to
Yeah,
get out of that loop.
no. Okay, so total projected expense needs to be 1.8, right? Again, I'm gonna clean it up.
So the sum right now is 1.920 mil
Where are you looking? What row?
on my calculator.
Oh, across, so I still have something missing here.
Well, I think, yeah, there needs to be further adjustment, I think.
Okay, so I've got projected revenue at 1.8. Personal services at 120. Total projected expense, this has got to be 1.6. No, go back, Lynn. So 120, 1.8 minus 120 is 1.618. No.
If you go into C24, the total projected expenses,
Mm-hmm.
and do equals, just start typing. It'll, okay, no, delete that. So equals sum, parentheses, C19,
Through.
or you can drag C19 through. There you go. Enter.
There we go. I was just making sure I had this number right. So now we should be balanced.
Yeah, can we
Right.
change total projected expense to total programs expense for that subsection?
There we go.
That makes sense. You have total general expense and total program expense.
Yeah.
Yeah, total programs expense. Mhm.
And really,
And then in the net expense, the A1, AA1, I don't think we need to show.
I'm sorry, where are you?
A25, where it says net expense, colon,
yeah.
A1, AA1.
Yeah, that ended up in there through part of my mess. Okay. And then I was gonna take out notes. I mean, I don't.
I
unless
like having that note there
you like
about
the
the,
notes.
about the 2026 first available revenues.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think those made sense. I like that.
how about the remainder? I don't know that this one's yet necessary because that was just part of our. Well, yeah. That was just part of our discussion. I would think we would take these last two out. And I don't think the program reserve is 10%
It's
anymore.
not 10% anymore.
The one I would for sure take out is row 33.
Okay. I think this was just kind of part of our discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know that, I think it's kind of confusing if people aren't familiar with. Because what this was intended to do was be about, do we need certain amount of funds to hit matching? So it really is kind of buried in part of the discussion. I would suggest we take this one out and then adjust the program reserve percentage.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
And maybe in the cell A30 description also indicate therefore that it's 9 months, because the reader might not know that we're on the calendar year.
Okay. So 326 first of all. Um,
Nine months total.
yeah, that's a good way to say it. And then this one here
Thank you.
is really, where's my reserve amount? 130,000. It would be approximately 7.2%. Okay. So that would be. Are we at the 23rd or the 24th? The 23rd.
23rd.
23rd. All right. And then I can get rid of these comments. Squeeze it down just a little so it's okay. That would be then be the budget we would be voting on.
I like it. Any other questions, comments?
It's a good place to start.
Agreed.
Excellent. Thank you again, Lynn.
All right.
Since you're sharing, do you have that draft memo that you can bring up, or do you want me to take it back over?
I do have it, and so let me just grab that as well. Is this big enough for everyone to see?
Okay, here, thanks.
Can you see it?
I'm good. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So literally again, and maybe the first thing we need to be clear on, I went back to the legislation and my read of it, and I can pull up the legislation if we want, but my read of it is that we are to set a budget and set a fee. As opposed to like the 988 board, they had the PUC come up with the fee. The way I read our legislation, maybe this is a question for Kirsten to validate, is that we set the fee. And then we provide that information to the PUC for purposes of their setting the state 911 surcharge. I wrote this kind of on that assumption.
That is also how I read it. Daryl, you have your hand up.
Yes, I would agree with that. Just as a point of clarification, it is actually very similar to how the 988 enterprise is set up. And technically, the 988 enterprise sets its own fee. The only thing the PUC staff was doing was telling them, based on our calculations, what the fee would need to be to cover their budget. And then they set the fee based on that recommendation. So you guys have basically done that already by including, our projections per penny of how much you'll need to raise for your budget.
Okay.
Are we still thinking in the 800,000 per penny range? I know the initial fiscal note was closer to 7. I'm seeing a
Yeah, the amount per penny that's raised goes up as the number of lines in the state goes up, and currently we are about $830,000 per year per penny of surcharge. But I think using $800,000 is reasonable because there is some fluctuation there.
Sure. Great, thank you.
Okay. And I apologize. I literally was working on this the last couple of days and was hoping to get it out to y'all sooner so you could have a little more lead time to review it. So I don't know if it's easiest for me to just kind of walk through the sections or how you want to approach this.
Matt, you have your hand up.
Fortunately, my enterprise email is set to forward things to my work address, which may be why I got locked out. But nonetheless, I did have time to review this, and I feel that this was well thought out, and especially considering you were in a hurry, Lynn, well written. I think I had a couple of notes. Maybe we ought to correct the spelling of Rebecca's name at the top. Just sort of a nitpicky sort of thing.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. No, I definitely want to see those because I looked it up and I thought there's 2 C's and
There you go. Yeah.
there we go.
1B.
2
Yep.
B's or 1B?
1B.
1B, 2 C's. See, I just got it backwards. All right.
Other than that, I think this was very thoughtfully written, and it looked like you put a lot of time into it. So thank you.
Well, thank goodness I had a template from the 988 board, and then I just started thinking about, okay, what's different and what do we want to include? And obviously this will change because of the change we just made on the other side. So again, it just summarizes it, and in the summary, the only part that was a little awkward to me, I'll mention it when I get down further. So this, some of this was cut and paste, and I'll go back and do spell checks and things, but was cut and paste from the website. So it was good that we had already done that. I have some yellow highlighted areas where I need more information. I was concerned that I didn't
11 by my count.
11.
It gets a little tricky because some people submitted multiple ideas within one form, but I've got 11 forms by my count.
There you go.
So I will put 11. If my hands are on the
My
right.
fingers over one.
Yeah, my computer, I've never seen this happen, but the lettering on the buttons actually is worn off. So I can't exactly always tell, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not in the right spot. And then this needs to be updated. Where did we land on this? Was 100?
It goes 180. No,
130?
120, right? No,
30?
I thought
Sorry,
it
130.
was 130.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you're
there's
right.
going to be a few places you need to change.
Yeah, so I'll
Yeah,
update
several.
the numbers
Yep.
here. Honestly, I was not as comfortable with my program descriptions. If it really covered what we wanted to say. And in particular, I do remember some discussion when we changed this name to be language accessibility. this information is really pulled and focused on the, and I did go back to the legislation to grab the language just to make sure I was clear in how I was stating it about the emergency alerts. So I wanted to get verification. Is in particular, did this really cover the breadth of what we were intending here, or was it intended to be broader than just the legislation?
So that's the one major area that I had comments about. And
Okay.
I agree with Matt. You did a fabulous job on this. My preference, if everybody's good with it, is to be more broad than just the emergency notifications. I know that's what kind of brought it to light, brought it out as a topic, but I think for our purposes, for our grant programs and for our priorities, I would like to see it be more generic as far as something along the lines of, disseminate or interact with citizens in predominant more minority language, not take out a lot of the relation to notifications, because at least the way I would like to see it, it's not just notifications, it's also live translation services for 911, active phone call translation around language accessibility, not just the outbound notifications. Matt, you've got your hand up.
I would agree with that, and I would also like to add, if I remember correctly, Senate Bill 31 didn't actually add anything new. In
It
terms
said
of-
it did, but it's
In terms of, I mean, under
the impact, it was already there.
yes, yes. In terms of language accessibility for an emergency notification services or other things, it was already there. It just sort of more explicitly stated it. I would be happy if that Senate Bill 31 aspect were removed from this and it made more general, like Michael was recommending. And then following up on that, under the GIS support, it's actually the Colorado 911 Resource Center that won a CPAP funds grant from the PUC, and then the Resource Center, I think, is working with both PUC and OIT on the GIS RFP.
Okay, so the Colorado, can we just say it this way?
911 Resource Center.
Matt, that I don't think I've ever heard that many acronyms at once.
We work in alphabet soup. Maybe the military uses more. Not that, Andrew.
100%.
Does that cover it just by making that simple change for you,
I think
Matt?
that's a little better. You could say with the PUC and OIT.
Okay.
There you go. That's more accurate. Thank you.
I think I call him San Francisco. Okay. Can I just go back real quick to get some final language on the language accessibility? So I said this funding is intended to provide additional language accessibility capabilities. Can I say related to 911? Because I don't even remember all the examples you gave me to I just need some words around what on the 911
to
side.
911 or emergency notification services.
And then delete everything after that.
And just
Yeah,
keep it simple.
yeah.
Always changes. Formatting is my little enemy every time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go back and do some grammar checks here. All right. It's they did this way on the 98 one. I don't know if this is the best placing for it or if it needs kind of a header here. But this last statement, I thought I already changed that once. This last statement is intended to just say, okay, PUC, this is what we're providing you and for what
Final
purpose.
direction.
And it's kind of like, to me, it's just like randomly out there at the bottom. And I'm wondering if it should have a, I don't like the word conclusion, but that was like the only thing popping up in my head. Or we can just leave it as is.
What is the proper name of the enterprise's fee? Do we actually call it a service user fee?
911 enterprise fee, I believe, is the
Oh, I thought I went back. Okay, that was one of the things, and I can pull it up real quick. But I went back to the legislation, to the bill itself.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I think it was called a service user fee.
Oh,
But let me. Okay, let's see. If I can find
impose a 911 enterprise fee on service users.
thank you.
Does it, but this was there.
So it's just 911 enterprise fee.
Okay, so. And I think it's in other places.
Daryl, you've got your hand up while she's looking for that.
Yes, I am also seeing 911 enterprise fee as the name that seems to be used the
Oh, look
most
at
in the
that, and I
statute.
did use that up here.
And I have one suggestion near the bottom. This is really to protect your sovereignty, I guess, as an independent entity, where it says, given the approved 911 service enterprise budget and fee, the board requests that the PUC include a 911 enterprise fee. I just to protect you guys or eliminate the appearance that you guys are subservient to the commission. Instead of the word request, I would say something along the lines of the board
Correct.
informs the PUC that we have set a 3-cent surcharge or something, or enterprise fee or whatever, however you want to word that. But I would just take the word requests out to protect your independence.
You read my mind.
Thank you, Daryl.
Okay, so
Set the,
maybe we just want to start with the board. Well, then get your fingers right. That a 2026 budget set. I hate to keep her.
I hit delete
That
twice.
it?
yeah, hit delete.
Or hit delete 3 times. Should get rid of that A.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think that's good.
Yes. 20.
No, I liked the better there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No,
No,
don't add that. Change its back to
The.
the.
Okay.
And I guess my only other question would be, instead of 911 connection, is that where we should say service user?
Access connection, I think is the
Okay.
term in statute. Daryl,
So,
sound right?
so the way this was originally went about, this 911 connection was in reference to what the PUC sets that will include our 3 cents.
Right, so we are going to be collecting your enterprise fee as part of the state 911 surcharge and then give you whatever portion of the 911 surcharge is made up of your fee. And the 911 surcharge is assessed per 911 access connection. So I think if you wanted to use that term there, that would be fine.
Or access connection?
Yep, 911 access connection, correct. And that is a defined term in the statute.
Remove everything after connection?
I think per month is fine.
It's per line or per access connection per month, right?
Yeah,
And then a period would be my suggestion.
So end at
yeah,
month.
just end it at month, yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
Mhm.
All right. So, yeah. So I'm gonna need to change this as next.
So why don't you make those changes? I would, because my name's on it, I would like to make the voice a little more mine in a couple places, but if you can make those changes, send it through either Sage or Kirsten to me. I'll add the letterhead. I'd like to adjust just a couple words here and there, just to make, like I said, to make it more my voice. And then we'll send it back out to the board for final approval at our next meeting.
Okay.
Is that,
Yep.
Matt, you still got your hand up? Is it a new hand?
Yeah, Michael, can I send you some adjusted wording for that GIS project paragraph?
Yeah. Do you want to send it through to Lynn as she's putting together the draft, or?
At your pleasure. I can send it to Lynn or to you.
Why don't we start with Lynn, since
Okay.
she's the financial secretary? So Lynn, get the GIS wording from Matt, send it to me. I'll add the letterhead, and then we'll send it back out for final approval at our next meeting. So Sage, that'll be another thing for our agenda.
Understood. I'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
All right, got it. I just need to make
Excellent.
myself. This is how I remember all the list of my action items. All right. Okay. Well, I really appreciate the help and the input because I was stuck.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else in the budget rate realm before we move on?
Yeah, what's our deadline for this? Is our next meeting going to be in time for the deadline?
So PUC opens August 1st, if they haven't already, but by August 1st. Last time, a few months back, when I talked to Daryl about it, they would like it as early as possible, but certainly by September 1st, so that it can be included well in advance of any final decision. Our next meeting would be August 6th, and unless we want to hold another meeting between now and then, Daryl, if you think that we should go faster than that. Jennifer's got her hand up. Do you have input on that?
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, the proceedings should be opened next Wednesday at the commissioners' weekly meeting. And if they adopt the decision as written, then the comments will be due by August 22nd. So you've got a little while.
Okay. So with, I guess the only other faster path forward potentially, I am out of the country next week, so I would not be available to meet next week, but certainly you guys could if you wanted to meet before August 6th. Kirsten, I don't know if it would be an option for a motion to approve on form and substance today and any minor modifications to align with the discussion. We could make that motion as soon as Matt gets his info to Lynn and then finally to me. I can submit it directly and submit a copy to everybody. Can't basically with it still in a rough draft, but with the content being agreed upon. Can we make that motion today and be done with it and submit it as soon as we can put those final pieces into place?
Are you asking so as long as there's not a virtual vote, so if you do the voting today and agree on the
That-
information, then it's okay for some edits to be made that way.
That would be what I'm looking at. We would
Okay.
make a motion today on this open meeting to approve it as to function and substance
Mhm.
with some minor form tweaks that do not impact substance.
Yes, if the board is okay with that, then yeah.
Matt, you've got your hand up?
I would make a motion that we adopt the budget with the adjustments made in discussion today and authorize Michael to finalize the budget memo with the adjustments per discussion today and then submit it.
I'd
Is
second
there
that.
a second? Second from Amy, thank you. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
abstain.
Thank you, Lynn.
Uh-huh.
One abstention and 3 ayes. The motion passes. I am on a plane Sunday, so Lynn and Matt, if you can get those updated to me as quickly as you can, I will make any, like I said, any form changes, minor, putting the letterhead on, things like that. Daryl, would I send that to you? Who is the contact for that once that's finalized?
Yep, I was just about to raise my hand. So I think the easiest process is you just send it to me and I will get it filed in, or actually you could probably just send it to Sage. Sage will get it filed in the proceeding on your behalf.
Excellent. I love it.
So I do not need to put anything in the letter, Daryl, for purposes of the proceeding number or anything for filing it in the proceeding? Or do you think I should put that in there?
I don't think it's necessary. We'll make sure it gets filed in the correct proceeding, and the proceeding number won't be assigned until after next Wednesday anyway.
Yeah, oh, that's right, because the meeting. Okay.
All right. I think we're doing great. I appreciate that, and I think we're good. Any further conversation around budget and rate setting? Excellent. Again, Lynn, thank you so much
You
for all the
bet.
work there. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for all the help.
All right, up next, Jennifer, did you have information regarding travel policy?
I don't, but Daryl does because he volunteered to put it together after last meeting.
Beautiful, Daryl.
Yes, let me share my screen. So I don't have a presentation exactly. I do have a form that I'm going to walk you guys through. It's our travel reimbursement form, which Lynn is very familiar with, although she's probably forgotten some things about it in the intervening years.
All I remember is it was always difficult to find out the mileage on your car number. Other than that, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So first of all, you guys are lucky because as state employees, we have to file or submit travel requests before we go on a trip. You guys won't have to do that because Nobody has to approve your travel. You self-approve your own travel as an independent board. For reimbursement, you will submit this form, which I will share now. And I will get a copy to Sage to send out to all of you so that you can keep it as a template. So this is our travel. You guys are seeing this, right? The spreadsheet. Okay. Let me make it a little bit bigger. This is our travel reimbursement form, and I'll just walk you through the fields in it. So up here at the top, I've already pre-filled it with 911 Services Enterprise. Normally this would say what department and division and unit you are in state government, because you are a separate entity within the state government. If we just put 911 Services Enterprise there, I think that will work. Obviously, you'll put the month of the travel and you'll put in the fiscal year. I know you guys aren't necessarily following the state fiscal year, but the state follows the state fiscal year. So you'll need to put in whatever the current state fiscal year is, which runs July through June of every year. Currently, we are in the 2025-2026 fiscal year. And then after July 1st of 2026, you'll be in the 2026 to 2027 fiscal year. And then over here, you put in the date of travel. If it's a multiple day trip, you're going to put in each day of the travel until you return. You will put in where you are traveling from. And because you guys are not coming from an office in your travel, you will probably put your home office or your home address city. It doesn't have to be your full home address, but the city that you're traveling from. Your departure time. And if we are talking about in-state travel, you put your total miles driven. Now, here's another place where you guys are lucky compared to state employees. State employees then have to deduct our commute miles. So if I, for instance, if I'm leaving from my house to go to a meeting in Grand Junction, I have to subtract the amount of miles from my house to the office, because the idea is that if I were going to the office, that's how many miles I would have to drive for a commute anyway. None of that applies to you guys. You can do it straight from your house without putting in or deducting your commute miles. This will calculate how many miles, which will be the same as your total miles driven because you're not subtracting anything from it. This is the current per mile rate. It is not exactly the same as the federal GOA rate, GOA, I forget.
Hey,
thank you. Whatever that federal agency is that sets the mileage, it's not exactly the same, but the state notifies employees every year of what the rate is. It's based on that, but they use it's like 95% of the federal rate or whatever it is. And this will calculate total mileage reimbursement, will calculate how much you're going to be reimbursed for that travel. Make sure to do it on this would be your drive out. If it's a multiple J, if you're doing it in the same day, you would put your total miles round trip here. If it's a multiple day trip, you're going to put your travel out on this day, and let's say you're coming back on this day, then you would put your return miles. So make sure that it calculates all of it together, and it'll calculate it at the bottom. For meals, we use the GSA. That's the term I'm looking for. The GSA rate for meals. So just look up the GSA rate. It's obviously different in Denver than it is in, for instance, Rifle. So you'll just want to look up what the GSA rate is for the 3 meals. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You'll be reimbursed for, not reimbursed, but given the per diem for every meal that you take. If you're going to like a conference and they provide lunch, then you wouldn't put anything there. So you would only put in for the meals that you would have to, that you're not receiving any free food for to begin with. So like sometimes the hotel provides breakfast, you would put 0 there. But if there's no breakfast and you have to go out and buy it yourself, then you would put that there. And then lodging, there's no real, there is a GSA rate for lodging. We don't really follow that. I would say just from a good governance point of view, you would want to shop around and get a good deal. We don't necessarily expect you to pick the cheapest if it doesn't look like a good place to stay, but just be reasonable with it as far as your lodging choice goes. And then it will calculate that across in your total reimbursement per day, and that will calculate down here at the bottom into a total that will include both the mileage, the meals, and the lodging. In here, you would put anything else that you have. One thing that the state does allow is $5 per day for incidentals. So that's every night of a visit or of a trip. So if you're staying the night, then you get $5. So if, let's say it's a 4-day trip and you're returning on the 4th day, you would put in for 3 nights of incidentals at $5 a night. So that's $15. And you would add that here. If there are any other expenses that don't show up here, like taxis, rental cars, anything else that would be included as part of the travel cost, but doesn't have a field anywhere else, this is where you would include it and make sure it gets included in this total miscellaneous field down here. In this field, you would say who you're visiting. It's not the purpose of the travel, it's where you're traveling to. So let's say you're going to a meeting. For instance, we just had a task force meeting in Rifle, Colorado. Let's say that we have another one at the same location and you were going there to represent the enterprise and talk about enterprise business. So you could get reimbursed from enterprise fees with this. You would say Garfield County Communications and the address. And then the purpose of the travel would be representing the 911 Services Enterprise at the 911 Advisory Task Force. And there's a signature field and you print your name here. I put in board member for title, which I assume would be appropriate for all 5 of you since you don't have state employee classifications. The date, I assume you would leave the employee identification number blank, or we can just put in NA for now. Home address is mostly important for verifying the mileage that you put in, especially if you're leaving from your house, or if you are asking to be paid by check instead of electronic fund transfer, they will need your home address there. The rest of this is for other people to sign. I don't know who signs for you as a supervisor, if that just gets left blank. I did put NA in there for now. It might be that that we can sign for you, or maybe Bindu would sign for you, or it just stays blank. But the first time we turn this in, we can work out some of those details. The financial officer will be the financial officer for the PUC. He will be processing these for you and then charging those to the 911 Enterprises funds. So it won't be coming out of DORA's funds or PUC funds. It'll be coming out of your funds as the enterprise. By default, I have this check to pay by EFT. The first time any of you are getting reimbursed by EFT, we will have another form for you to fill out, and we will need a voided check from you. They just use that so that they can fill in the bank account information and deposit these funds directly into your bank account. That is the preferred method, but there is an option there to have a check mailed to your home. If any of you prefer that, let me know when the first time you turn in a reimbursement, and we can work out how that works. But they do prefer to do it by EFT just because it's cheaper than paying postage and all that stuff. I think that's pretty straightforward. It is more, the first couple times you do it is not super user friendly, but after that you get used to it and it's not that difficult. And I'm happy to help walk anybody through this the first time they do it, as well as to make sure that you get the electronic fund transfer form and get all of that information to our fiscal officer so that he can get that taken care of. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, and when I do send this out, I'll give this to Sage to send out to everybody, but I'll also provide a link to the state's travel fiscal rules, because not all of those will apply to you, like the commute mileage deduction, but a lot of them will apply to you, like using the GSA rates for the meals and other details, like if you ever need to do get a rental car or anything like that. There are specific rules for that. You're on mute, Lynn.
Okay, so for travel then, are we able to take advantage, I would think, of government rates? maybe it doesn't matter for anybody but me because the rest of people are government anyways, but it's not
Right.
always local government. I have noticed a difference out there. Sometimes it's federal and state, it's like, can be all over the map, but
I would say that's probably up to the hotel as to what they will accept as proof of government to get a government rate, but
okay.
I don't think it hurts to ask for it. If they
I don't
ask for if they ask for a state ID showing that you work for the government, I don't know that
Yeah, sure, it might be trouble.
because you don't have one like I do. But a lot of them, I think, just take that on the honor system, so you could just ask for it. But I don't see any reason why you couldn't,
Okay.
because you are there on government business if you're there representing the enterprise.
And in particular, state government business.
Yes.
You could try your appointment letter.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
True.
Go to the website and check your name.
True.
Mhm.
I don't think in all those years I ever was asked one way or another.
And a lot of times, if it's like going to a conference, there's already a conference rate, and that's usually what you need to use instead of the government rate. But if you're just going to a task force meeting, it's going to be up to you to find your own hotel, and I don't think it hurts to ask for the government rate in those cases.
And again, I'm sorry, you said we do not need to follow the GSA CONUS rates for hotels.
Correct. Yeah, the state, even state employees don't have to follow that because they tend to be fairly unreasonable in a lot of cases.
Yes. Okay.
We just have to not be extravagant, or somebody will raise a flag. Any other questions?
Thank you, Daryl. Sorry, I covered you.
That's okay. I just asked if there were any other questions, and once I had to ask around a little bit to get this information, but it seems like it's going to be pretty straightforward and very easy to charge these costs back to the enterprise.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Just a reminder, we don't have any money, so we won't be using that form for a few months. But nice to know once we do, if we need to, then that option is there for us. Great.
So this trip out of the country, Michael, that's not something that's pre-approved
for the enterprise.
Right.
I'll submit for reimbursement next year. It'll be fine. All right. Last thing, board comments. So anything for the good of the order. I will start with either Kirsten or Daryl or both as we look forward to potential contracts with other entities. If there is a state language, state template, can I just make it up off the fly using ChatGPT? What does that look like as far as the form of any potential said contract?
So I took the 988 contract that you had. I have been talking with 988's attorneys at our office, and we believe we've identified the individual who helped write that contract. So we have reached out to that individual, and we are waiting to hear back from him on what is required and what was a bit superfluous, if there was anything. And I will let you know as soon as I hear back.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Yes, Daryl?
Yeah, I would just say, based on that 988 contract, it looked like they did go through the purchasing department at CDHS or the Behavioral Health Administration. So if we follow a similar path, we're going to probably need to loop in the contracting officer for DORA fairly soon so that they know what's coming. And Kirsten, it might be helpful for you to be part of that conversation so you can explain any deviation from the state contract template that's being used.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. Any other members that have anything to bring up for the good of the order?
Thank you, Lynn.
You bet.
And
Amy,
Sage, I did sign that code of conduct policy and send that back to you. So.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So with this meeting having pushed us up a week, great progress. I really appreciate all you guys' effort. The email went out through Sage. Do we want to keep this as our milestone and meet 2 weeks from now, which would make it August 6th at 3 p.m. for our next meeting? Anybody have any issues with that?
Works for me.
Works for me
All
too.
right. Then, unless there's anything for anybody else, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Lynn and Matt. We are adjourned at 4:13. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Enjoy your trip,
Bye,
Michael.
everybody.
2 weeks.